What's up, friends? Welcome to the 2-6 podcast with Luke and Adrian. On this podcast, we focus on Web3, business, and achieving your personal potential. On today's episode, we recap the second half of our experience at the Vayner Sports Pass meetup in Denver. We'll share some insights from our conversation with AJ and Gary Vaynerchuk and share a brief intro on some things we have going on this week with the Chive, Bill Murray 1000, and Project Pinkman. With that all said, let's get to it. What's up, friends? Welcome to the 2-6 podcast with Luke and Adrian. We are back and here to talk to you a little bit about a recent visit that we had to Denver, Colorado. What's up, Age?
Not much, man. Glad to be in my own bed. Glad you're on the floor.
Definitely. What's up? Just kidding. I'm glad to be in a bed. So that is a nice thing. So listeners, if you didn't listen to that episode, we shared a hotel room in Denver, me, Adrian, and his wife, Stacy, my sister-in-law, and we ended up with only one bed for that trip. So I had the great pleasure of sleeping on the floor, and that was not ideal. So I'm very happy to be back in my bed.
Wasn't the room free, though? Did we get to use Festival? Did you use Festival Pass on that?
It was, and we'll talk more about actually Festival Pass on a future episode. But we actually were able to get that room for free, or at least as part of the membership with the NFT. So shout out to Festival Pass. You can find it at festivalpass.com. But it's basically with that you buy the NFT once for close to one ETH, and after that you get $1,200 of credits to use toward hotels, sporting events, concerts, for every year forever. So it's kind of great. So we're in our second year. So had the chance to use all of that benefit last year and got a replenishment of it this year. So really a great one. And so so really was pleased with that. And so I would not say it was anything to do with them. Kind of just a mix up with the hotel that had me sleeping on the floor. So, but can't complain about having a room for basically for free.
But I know we're talking about kind of like a recap of the actual event. Dude, I have to say, that was fun. I mean, it was, like we were saying before, it was a little bit different because last year we tailgated. This time it was post-game and at a little sports bar. Truly, I think I liked it a little bit better. And I think I liked it too because the Jets won. So I think Gary and AJ were in a great mood. That's always a plus, right? And yeah. I think it was easier. It was, at the tailgate, I want to say people from other tailgating, I don't know what you call them, parties or just other fans were, a little distracting. I don't know how many people came over just randomly, but I have to say, man, it was actually nice to just have a small little venue and a small little. I mean, it was just. I don't know, seemed kind of like more exclusive, I guess.
No, it was awesome. I definitely liked having the more intimate environment. I think there was a smaller group too, which was kind of nice just to have a more, intimate group there. I think we got, because it was over a few days like it was, we got a whole lot more time with the other members, which was kind of cool. So we had, we got in on Saturday, and so we got to have the happy hour with them, which we talked about in the last episode. Then on Sunday, we got to hang out both at the game, but then also at the happy hour. So really, we had 3 hangouts with everybody, which was kind of a cool thing about it.
Yeah, and I think the difference was mainly like this was a hollow holder event versus the football icon raffle, right? So I don't remember how many raffle winners there were on the last run. I think that's when that's the moment I bought my first VSP. So I was not very familiar with how it worked back then. Since then, got a little bit more involved. But I think having that hollow card has definitely, I wouldn't say paid for itself, but it sure makes it, you're definitely more involved, I guess. With a lot of different things, but going back to the event, I think it was good, man. I mean, I don't know. Talking to AJ is always fun. Gary was there doing his thing. I think we missed some of the alpha talk. I'm not sure what the alpha. I felt bad because I didn't want to crowd the guy, but Anyway, it was still cool. I still did get to ask him about uh life balance.
Yep. Yeah, and I think
And he
he
gave me an answer I
actually,
didn't expect.
yeah. Go ahead and tell everyone what he said.
He said, "Fuck balance. There's no fucking balance. You kidding me?" he's, he's like, I was like, dude, but no, but like the 7 day hour. I mean, 7 day working 7 days a week. He's like, yeah, and I was like, yeah. He's like, you just do what you got to do to get shit done. I was like, you're right, dude. You're right. But there is still a balance, dude. I still feel like there still is a balance. I'm still scratching my head on that response. But I mean, it's man. I don't know how the dude does it. Truly, I don't know how he does it. Like we're out there partying with him, not partying, but we're out there having a good time. And him and AJ fly back to New York. And dude, he's tweeting first thing in the morning, like 6:30 my time. I mean, maybe it was 7:30 New York time. And just like that, he's back to work. And it seems like he does that shit all the time, dude. I want to say he
Yeah.
was even on Fanatics that next night. I
Yeah.
may be
No,
wrong,
his
but I
his
think he was on
schedule
Fanatics.
his schedule is pretty wild. Like just to kind of get a sense of like what all he has going on and that type of thing. Like it's, I mean, he obviously has help, right? So he's not doing it
Yeah,
completely on his own. He has an entire team, and I'm sure like Team Gary V is a good resource for all that. I think there's probably a group of folks that help to kind of curate some of the stuff that he does. That way, he's not like you and I. Like if we're going through our entire Twitter feed or X feed, like that takes us a whole lot longer than if somebody's kind of gone through them and shown like, okay, here are the ones that you're going to want to engage in and that kind of thing. So I know all of
right.
his content is his own. Like I don't think he has anyone ghost tweeting for him. They're very clear about like if it comes from Gary's account, it comes from Gary, and if it comes from Team Gary V, then it comes from the team, which I think is good just to know, who's
No, I think that's
producing the
really good.
content.
Absolutely, I like that. So, what did you
So
get,
yeah,
man?
so
How did you tell us about your experience?
yeah, no, I thought it was great. So I got to hang out with a good portion of the group at the game itself. The so those that may not know, I'm not a huge American football fan. I'm more football, so soccer, than I am football. But I had a good time. There were a lot of great people with me. Was cheering for the Jets just because you got to cheer for the Jets if we're at a Vayner Sports Pass or Vayner event. And as Adrian mentioned, the Jets won, which was great. So it was good to support them, and yeah, it was great. So it was a little bit toasty. So my seats were in a different spot than Adrian's seats were, and
Didn't
ours
matter.
were directly in the sun, baking the entire time. And as much as I loved everybody that I was sitting with, I did spend the entire third quarter in the shade, just covering. Like you kind of think. So I live in Austin, and so you kind of think, oh, we're going to go to Denver. It's going to be nice and cool. And like, no, I mean, yes, it was cooler than it is here, but I was very hot. Thankfully, some of the folks next to me had some sunblock. Otherwise, I would have come away with a nice little sunburn too. So that part was great.
Yeah, we roasted, dude. There was no shade either. We didn't get into like 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. So we sat, we actually went down after the second quarter and drank a couple of brews. We met some guy from northern New Mexico, which was crazy. I got his phone number. He said, "Man, next time I have an in." I got a good contact for future Denver games through him.
Nice.
Sounds kind of crazy, but just one thing I totally forgot about because I was pretty damn buzzed. But I do remember that meeting. But anyway, side notes.
Yeah, no. But then and then after that, I don't know if we underestimated or maybe we just estimated right, and it just felt longer. But we walked back to our hotel from the stadium, and it was a little bit of a hike. I think it was about a mile and a half, but not
But it
not
was
too
in the
bad.
shade. It was
It
in
was
the
in the
shade and it
shade.
was probably like mid 70s, so it was fine.
The shade definitely made it a whole lot better. So that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then yeah, let's talk a little bit about the happy hour. So that was really the main event. So obviously we had a blast hanging out with everybody, but one of the things we were really excited about was getting to hang out with AJ and with Gary. They had a huge, as Adrian mentioned, they had a huge crazy schedule. So they had flown in late night from California. They were doing some business over there, and got a chance to hang out with us at the happy hour. And then right afterwards, got on a plane, flew to New York, and I think they were going to land around 4 a.m. in New York. And Gary, I think, had a 9 o'clock meeting, so probably slept 3 hours. Maybe, I mean, maybe he got some sleep on the plane, but that was just wild. But let's, Adrian, tell us about your experience at the happy hour.
I think that was pretty cool, man. I mean, I was getting a drink when Gary walked in, and like it was just cool to see him, man, wearing his, I think it was an OG V Friends blue sweatshirt.
Yeah, it was the
Um,
Carrot collab, I think.
oh yeah,
Yep.
nice.
Uh,
So I mean, it was cool, man. I mean, what was really nice is it was a smaller group. He was able to say hi to everybody. He did, again, I didn't want to crowd him in the very beginning because we got an opportunity to meet him once before, so you didn't want to like take time away from other folks who have not been to one of those events. So that was it was kind of listening, hanging back, just talking to some of the other community members, letting other people take the time to get a chat with him. AJ was very involved too with conversations, and it was cool, man. It was cool. Again, it was my when I finally got to the point where I'm like, man, I'm gonna go in there and see what these guys are talking about. That's when we talked more about, like, I don't know, balance, because
yeah.
that's always been like my question. Like, if I ever had, I didn't even think about it. It just popped up. I'm like, dude, tell me about balance or life balance. That was the big thing for me. Was I just want to see what he said. Totally didn't expect to say fuck balance. No time for
Yeah.
balance. But I mean, dude,
Yes.
his schedule, I can only imagine his schedule. So I mean, I just always remember him on a. He was with Grant Cardone in one of those. I don't know what you call those little meetings, podcasts, YouTubes, whatever it was. And Gary was saying, "I guarantee you, I work more than you do."
Hmm.
And it was a bold statement because I think they're both hard workers. But I
Yeah.
think this is kind of a taste of like Gary's life, like just bouncing around, working, doing fanatics, having too much wine, and then waking up the next morning and back at it again. So it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So just kind of thinking about that. So when we'll get back to talking about the happy hour and stuff, but I'm just thinking about balance in terms of like how I define it. And I think for a lot of people, they think of balance as equal parts of something. So let's say we're trying to balance, work and family and whatever else that is important to you, community, fun, whatever. I think people tend to think like, okay, how do I get equal parts of that? And I don't think that's not how I think about it. So I think it's having things in the proportion of how important they are to you and your goals, and that thing that's important might be family, that kind of thing. So you might have as much as you can um, with the family because you want to make sure that that's prioritized well. I don't know if I said that very well, but basically I think it's how it's organizing your life so that you spend your time in proportion to what's important to you is how I would define balance. Not necessarily I get 8 hours with the family every day, I get 8 hours at work every day, I get 8 hours of sleep every day. That's kind of just how I think about it. But I don't know what you think about that approach, but that's
Yeah,
I think
dude,
where you go.
balance is probably. I mean, it's pretty different for me. I think for me, it's not necessarily what's important to me. It's more like what's important to everybody else, so they don't feel like you're too busy for them. So whatever that might be. For me, it's like making sure that my wife feels like I'm still paying attention to her. I'm not always on Twitter Spaces or doing these little podcasts. Feeling like she still has time. I'm still spending that time with her, and of course, my boys are feeling like I'm not always at work, because there was a moment to where that's all I ever did was work, and I got to the point to where I was getting pretty. They the kids probably, I don't know, they didn't seem like they mattered. Like if I missed, like, say, one of their little league games or not, but I was bothered by it. And so for me, it's more of like the balance is, it's not equal time for me. It's more of just making the moments that are important count. Like they do
Yeah.
have a ranking in a sense, like a baseball game or just hanging out with them for whatever, watching a movie or just undivided attention, I guess. And doing and spending the time that is important to them, not just important to me where it's kind of revolving around work. So it's almost
Yeah.
like not prioritizing just work. It's just kind of doing it and not equal prioritization, but just doing it, just having a nice balance. It's not just 50-50. It's just kind of remembering that work will always be there, but your kid's childhood won't be. That's the way I always look
Right.
at it. So a lot of
Yeah.
times work can wait because I may only have a few more years of their childhood around. And yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's not an easy thing,
Yeah,
man.
and to be clear, when I said what's important to you, I didn't mean like in a selfish way. I meant like being a good
Selfish.
father can be one of the things that's important to you, or being a good friend is something that can be important to you, or having a strong family bond can be something that's important to you. So definitely, thinking of it in terms of being the person that you want to be for those around you and for yourself to some other degree. So I think that's kind of how I was thinking about it.
Yep.
But
Nope, that sounds
but I
good,
think
man.
that's good.
Selfless.
Yeah, selfless sloth. I almost got that one. So those of you that are maybe not familiar with VFriends, so VFriends have several characters. I think there's 220 something of them, and so they all have an animal or a thing, and it has a trait that goes to it as well. So actually, the one on my hat is passionate parrot, but there's also another one that's in there called selfless sloth, and so it was one that was high on my list. I did not end up getting that one. I got a helpful hippo instead, but yeah, so we have those as well. All right, so let's see. I want to just kind of share a little bit about my experience on the happy hour as well. So I got to it was similar to what Adrian had. So I got to meet Gary. He was actually really great about. As soon as he got there, he went around and like said hi to everybody. Was really personable. I think I don't know if you mentioned Adrian, but Stacy even was really impressed that like she was actually kind of like in a corner, and he like went all the way over to her to make sure that he said hi to her, and he remembered her from the last time that they had a chance to meet at the football game last year. So I thought that was really cool, and that was honestly all the FaceTime I had with Gary is when he said hi. Like Adrian said, a lot of people were kind of hanging out near him. So I didn't get to do that. But I did get to spend a lot of time chatting with AJ, which was awesome. And so just really shout out to him. Like I think sometimes Gary gets a little more attention because he's like he's Gary V. But AJ is an awesome dude as well. Like I really think highly of him. Got a chance to chat with him a little bit. He had actually recently a really cool experience. He hit a hole in one in golf,
Oh yeah.
and so that was kind of an amazing thing. So I was asking him all about it because it's like, how many people even do this in general? And he had just done it like a week or two before we saw him. So it was really cool to get to hear his story about how it all went down, how he felt about it, all of that kind of thing. We talked about other stuff too, but I thought that one was just kind of a high point, just relating to him like just a normal person. Like he's a person just like us, and he to use a quote from SNL, he puts his pants like everyone else. Just after he has his pants on, he goes and shoots holes in one in golf.
Once in a lifetime, man. The way I look at it.
Uh,
I
Yeah,
witnessed one about a month ago actually, and I feel like that's as close as I'll ever get to a hole in one. And that's what we were joking around about, right? I was like, you know, he would have never made that hole in one unless I asked to use his pitching wedge because I broke my pitching wedge somehow, and I asked to use his. And I distracted him, and the next thing you know, I probably loosened him up, relaxed him, and then he hit it. So I was telling AJ how I felt somewhat responsible for that hole in one that my my bro got. So
it's true. It's the
it was
butterfly
funny.
effect. Like one
That's right.
one butterfly flaps its wing over the Pacific, and then a tsunami comes. It's the same thing with a hole in one. You do one little thing. He could have taken that swing a split second later, and he would have got a totally different shot.
You've been on the beach.
So yeah. So speaking of Vayner Sports Pass, we are in the middle of a competition within that. Adrian, do you want to talk a little bit about the competition that's going on right now for that black card with Gridiron?
Oh, you don't want to mention that the Vikings are beating the 49ers right now? Now we're dating the episode. We're dating the episode right now.
That's okay. It's coming out in 2 days. Listeners, it takes me usually about a day or two to process the episode, and we publish on Thursdays. So we're recording on a Monday, and it'll be first thing Thursday morning. Y'all will be able to hear this. So
Luke's saying he doesn't care about the game right now, but I know deep down he will.
I really don't.
So like right, yeah, you do. But right now, so like we have this with the Hollow Pass, which is kind of like a spectacular or kind of like a rare VSP. But through the Hollow Pass, we have the competition. It's a survival competition that with the NFL season, we're able to choose teams, the winning team throughout however long it takes. What do we start off with, Luke? Do you remember? It was like 100.
It was like 120 something, 140
yeah,
maybe?
I think it was 120, yeah. So like now I think what are we in, week 7? I want to say?
Just finished week 7. Actually, today's game
it's going on right now
7.
with this Minnesota win, hopefully. That'll probably take out 2 other guys, which will be cool, betting against my good old Vikings. But anyway, so with the winner basically gets a black card. And the black card is like the highest level. It's almost like a legendary trait for VSP. And truly, I don't really know much about the black card because it's totally out of my reach. So maybe Luke, you can tune us into what the black card actually does.
Yeah, so happy to talk more about it. So I'll start with the background of it, and we can kind of go from there. So really interesting mechanism for how they created these. So we did a burn event. So what would happen is they would do these batches where you would have to put your existing Vayner sports passes that you might have, or maybe you bought some recently, and they all had a point value that was assigned to them. So you were basically bidding them into an auction the same way you would bid money, except they were with a pass. And so you only the top 10 of each batch would actually become winners. And so if you're one of the top 10, then you would get a black card in exchange. And if you weren't, then you get your cards back. So it wasn't like a raffle where you have to use it up and then it's just gone forever. So you would get it in that sense. And so I think there's a total of 70 black cards that are out there, and they all have a different number on them. So the lower the number, the higher rank that card is. And so every year they'll get a certain NFT, basically as kind of like a gift or a reward for having that card. So like the first year there were some pretty cool ones. I think there was like a Clonex in one of them. There were some other really desirable ones that were in there. There were some V-Friends that came out through it. So you get that. And then in addition to that, you can pick a sporting event every year that you want tickets to, and it goes up to a certain dollar amount. I don't recall if it's different depending on the card. I want to say it's like a little around the ballpark of 1,000 or so. But you can pick a sporting event that you want tickets to, and they'll get you the tickets. And so that's good for the first 3 years that you have the card. TBD what happens after that 3 years is up. But yeah, so they have that. And as Adrian was mentioning, this knockout competition that we're in, the winner of that is going to get a black card for doing this. So yeah, that's what the card is. Adrian, you want to talk a little bit about how we win that?
I just want to beat you, Luke. I don't care about the card.
If you keep picking the same teams, we're not going to do that, are you?
Yeah, I know. You need to stop asking Dad for advice and pick your own doggone teams. Yeah. I
made my picks.
Well, I did too. Anyway, no. So it's a survival. So I mean, I don't know. It depends on if people know what survival means or not. But basically, you pick one winning team for as ever long as the competition goes. So, like right now, we are at week 7, and I think we got about 8 people that got knocked off. So I want to say there's probably 24, or maybe there's 16 now without 22. These people. And depending,
22.
Minnesota just missed a field goal, so you guys have a chance. So we'll see what happens. So I mean, at the end, it's kind of a new thing. I think I've done it once before. I didn't do very well. There's definitely some strategy. Of course, once you use all the good picks, it gets harder because you will have to make some rough decisions at the end. But once the winner wins, whoever is the survivor of the pool will actually win that card. So, it's It's kind of cool. I think, Luke, and I want to say the 1 through 10 gets a little bit more of a perk. Don't quote me on that. It may or may not be true, but I think it does. There's some type of extra perk on that.
Yeah, I don't remember that part.
Might
So
be putting you
it
on the
may be.
spot.
It may be right.
So we'll see. Luke knows very little about football. I have probably watched more football this year than I have in a very long time. So we're sorry, I'm gonna be a little distracted because I just want. Of course, both my brothers are 49er fans, so it means a lot for me when my sucky ass team wins. But yeah, so I think that's the cool part. That's the cool part about VSP is that it gets us kind of involved with sports. And if anybody tuned in with our prior episode with our dad, he is a sports fanatic, which probably makes me and Luke not like sports too much.
It
To a
depends. It
point. I
depends.
like playing it more than watching it, truly. But
So,
but
so listeners, it may be my rebellious nature in a weird way. Like
it
it's not
is.
like rebellious, like I'm gonna, I don't know, go get a tattoo on my face kind of thing. It's more of like rebellious, like whatever. I just do things differently than my dad and mom do. So like I like sports, and so maybe we talked about this story, how like why I wrestled in high school.
We did.
So if you haven't heard this story before, so during our youth, our dad coached us through t-ball and all the way up to high school, and then basketball a little bit. He coached Adrian in basketball longer than me, just because I was no good at basketball. But then anyway, I chose wrestling in high school because one, it seemed interesting. Some friends of mine were doing it, but also my dad didn't know anything about it. And then even in today's environment, like the things that I've chosen are a little bit different. So I run and do triathlons and like my dad actually used to run as well. He would do more of like short distance, like track stuff. But I do that. And then my main sport that I'm basically obsessed with is soccer. So it's not that I'm not a sports fan. It's just not that I'm not a football fan. So like yesterday, I had the great pleasure of watching Austin FC 2 win the national championship in MLS Next Pro, which one might think, okay, why are you watching a second division team win? It's like because I love it that much. Like I will tell you everything you ever wanted to know about Austin FC, including like the backgrounds of the players, like what they do in their spare time, what the second team is doing, the strategy of the second team, and there's even people that are involved in this Austin FC stuff that know the academy kids. Like these are like kids playing for the potential to play for Austin FC in the future. So I go deep in Austin FC and in soccer, and that just kind of means that I don't have a lot of time to watch foosball, as the Water Boys mom would call it.
Go deep but not wide.
That's right.
No, it's good. I always enjoy little soccer when we're down there. And I think one of the cool things too, in addition with VSP, I mean, I think Luke and I actually right before this we were just talking about maybe doing a discussion about royalty fees with the resale of NFTs and the creator royalties, right? And so with that, I mean, a lot of projects I think are a little bit are struggling because that's kind of like their cash flow or their revenue stream. So VSP had to make a decision on how they were going to sustain the project, and recently went to a point generated system, and also went to minting a separate season NFT. With that, I think, there's, of course, when you have any type of differences in a project of, what the normality is, because I mean, truly always in my book is always looking at the sustainability of a project. And if you don't have cash flow or revenue, it's almost non-existent. So with this new point structure, though, I'm actually enjoying it. I've actually probably already blown up most of my points, but I'm also a believer that there's probably going to be the least amount of people getting into or joining the new point system and minting the other NFT because there is a cost to it. I think the other thing too that I talked Luke in doing was actually doing the office tour. I truly think that's gonna be a good time. I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited about it though, because we went there once. Luke did not tell me when we were in New York that they were in the office building that we spent what, 2 hours in the area. I don't think you told me that their office was there, Luke.
I don't think I knew that at the time. So they're in Hudson Yards, which is one of the newer parts of Manhattan. It's funny. I remember I was there for a race, probably I guess a decade ago, and it was just a bunch of holes in the ground, and now it's these beautiful buildings. So yeah, so
And a big old
they're
piece
in
of
Hudson.
art, right? That you can actually climb or walk through the stairs or whatever. That's the only thing I
Yeah, I don't.
remember watching Gary's video, and I'm like, hey, that's that stair thing. And so he was walking anyway. So that's how I found out they were over there. So I think it's going to be cool. Um, we'll probably, I think the tour is a couple hours. We'll have lunch there, get a little limited edition sweatshirt, and meet some of the Vayner sports crew. So I think it'll be cool. I'm down for some New York pizza myself.
Age. So we got some exciting stuff going on this week. What are you looking forward to this week?
Dude, I well going to visit you, man.
Yes.
So not only that, but it's also part of our Bill Murray NFT project. Um, so right now that's mainly with the Chive and Project Venkman. So we've got a few things going on. Gosh, 3 different events. I want to say we got the gold, silver, black dinner, which is going to be pretty cool. I think it's at the same ranch that we were at last year. Truly just a great time with a bunch of chivers. And then we got a few private parties, I want to say on Friday with Project Venkman. And the other one I want to say is with the Shack. And then we have the Green Gala going on Saturday, which is more of a charity event. First one we went to, because last time actually we truly were at the Jets Buffalo Bills game with Gary and AJ. So this time we will get to experience the Green Gala shindig. So pretty excited about that, man.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to that. It's always great to be out there with folks and listeners. So just so you know, so the Bill Murray project is one that. So sometimes we'll find these projects, like I'll find one and bring Adrian in. Sometimes Adrian will find one and bring me in. The Bill Murray one is one that he's been a little more involved in. We have a very sad story to me for how we ended up with the different NFTs that we have for the different projects. We had a little bit of a hiccup in the minting process. And as a result of that, Adrian got some great NFTs, and I ended up with some good NFTs that cost the same amount but are not nearly as good as his. So he gets access to some things that I don't get access to. So he's what's called an original bill, and mine are what's called a destination bill. And so we'll probably talk more about kind of how the project as a whole works within the Bill Murray 1000 collection. But essentially, with the original bill like Adrian has, he gets to go to all of the events. And with the destination one, I get to go to some of the events. And so that's why Adrian has met Bill Murray and I have not. Hopefully at some point in the future, I will get to do that as well. But that's how that works. But one of the things that is cool about both of them is that we get access to the GSB dinner, which stands for gold, silver, and black, which if you're familiar with the Chive, you'll know that they have a lot of coins that they do. So they do these special edition coins where a lot of times they will be Bill Murray focused, but sometimes there'll be other things. Like there's a Chris Farley one. There's I think there's a Back to the Future one coming out sometime soon, or recently did. So they have a lot of really interesting ones. So this event is kind of centered around that, but just a great time to meet other Chivers, other holders of the Bill Murray project. Last year, we got to meet some great folks that are kind of on the building side of things. We got to hang out with Mike and Manny and Johnny and all those guys. So looking forward to hanging out with them.
Absolutely, man. It's always good to see those guys. I mean, and that's the cool part about just the space in general is that it's so dynamic. There's so many different people from around the world, truly, and it's cool to see the community. Even though we only see each other every once in a while, and I'm not always on the Discord, but it's cool to see these guys in real life all over again. So I'm super pumped to see a lot of those guys too.
Absolutely. So we'll be sure to talk more about it next time we get together. But and maybe we'll no promises. We'll try to shoot some stuff while Adrian and Stacy are here, just to we get a rare chance to do that, so we might shoot some bonus episode footage or something like that while they're here. But with that, listeners, thanks so much again for listening. So if you did enjoy today's episode, please like, review, and subscribe. We are very happy to have your support, and share it with a friend. If you know anybody that might be interested in some of the content that we produce, please feel free to share that with them, and we would love to have your support there as well. But with that, listeners, thanks again, and we will talk to y'all later on. Bye-bye.
6.